And now I welcome your grace to come and bless us with your paternal and presidential address. Welcome.
Thank you, Father Sandy. Thank you to all of you for being here today. When I became a bishop, was after being a pastor in parishes for 37 years. And one of the biggest shocks to me was that I didn't have a parish anymore. That I didn't have a group of people that I met with regularly, that I shared their lives with. But as I look out at you today, it just surprises me that I know most of you from all over the diocese. So I've got a really big parish and a big community to be a part of. And I'm very happy to be here with you today to share with you the importance of what we are doing in this financial campaign. Now, when I was made bishop 10 years ago, I had to go to Rome in September and be part of this seminar for new bishops. The bishops jokingly call it bishop school. And there were about 100 bishops from all over the world. And people talked to us to help us understand what it meant to be a bishop. And this responsibility of being a pastor of a church, of a family of people who belong to Jesus, and to lead them, and to guide them, and to nourish them, and to protect them. And it's in this context of why I do all of this for the people of this diocese that we talk about this appeal. We've been chosen by God to be a part of this family of the church. We use the image of the flock, but the image, another image in the Bible is that we are the body of Jesus Christ in the world. Jesus has chosen us to be his body, to do his work in our world, to share with him in the mission that God the Father gave to him. So this is a wonderful privilege. And I think part of my work and responsibility is to help our Catholic people understand what a wonderful and special thing it is to share in this work of the Son of God, intimately and closely. Jesus said to his apostles, and therefore their words are addressed to us, he said, "You didn't choose me, I chose you." And in a sense, for most of us, this wasn't our initiative to be Catholic people. Jesus chose us. But then he says, "And I commission you to go out and to bear fruit." So the choice has a mission to it, to bear fruit for God. And in a sense, that's why the church exists. That's why God has called us, why Jesus has called us, to bear fruit for God. And Jesus spoke of this in many different ways in the gospel. The vine, I am the vine, you are the branches. Okay? I prune the branches so that the vine will produce much fruit. Okay? Bear fruit for God. There's that disturbing parable of the fig tree. It wasn't a parable, it was Jesus went along and he went up to a fig tree to get some figs, and there was no fruit on the tree. The disciples continued on to Jerusalem. When they came back, they walked by the tree, the disciples looked at it, and it had shriveled up and withered. To bear fruit for God is so important that it gives meaning and purpose to our life. And of course, the famous parable of the talents. These three men who were given these different sums of money. And they were supposed to use that money to make more money for master. 2 of the 3 did well. One of them took the gifts that he had, buried it in the ground, and when his master came back, he said, "Here I give to you what you gave me." And of course, he didn't fare very well. Success in our life, success in our relationship with God and in the church depends upon our bearing fruit for God. So we need to be strong in our church to do that. We need to have a healthy faith, and we need to have a vitality and a sense of what we need to do for God. Now, and that's a challenge to us these days. We all know that the state of our church has changed drastically in the past even 10 years since I've come here, certainly within the last generation of people. Just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I met in this room with representatives of 3 of the parishes, and we were discussing then whether or not we have to face the closure of these parishes, which have diminished and lost their vitality. We need to be strong in our church. We need to know what God asks us to do, and we need to have some help to do it. And that is the purpose of all of these ministries that the appeal supports. We've noticed in the list of things that we do that the number of things that are done to care for poor people. And we know from our present Pope Francis how continually he reinforces the fact that it's the poor people that we need to spend our attention on and our time on. Jesus, he echoes the words of Jesus in that, because Jesus, remember he said to the young man who wanted to follow him, he says, "Go, sell all your possessions, give the money to the poor, and then follow me." Francis used another dramatic expression not long ago, and he says that our money belongs to the poor. Our money belongs to the poor in the eyes of God. So, what we do in our pastoral ministries then is to follow that teaching of Jesus. Strengthen our church so that we can bear fruit for God in caring for particularly the poor. And we're aware that we're poor in many different ways. Many people are poor because they don't have enough money. But many Catholics are poor because they don't know their faith well. Jesus said to us, "Go out to the whole world and proclaim the good news to all the nations." And we need help in knowing that good news so we can tell it to other people. Sometimes we're poor in confidence, we Catholics. I'll say to people, you have to be a witness. You have to share what you know, your excitement, the joy that comes into your life through our faith. And people say, "I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't do that. I might say something wrong." Confidence. We're poor in confidence. All of our ministries, pastoral ministries that are supported by the appeal, are to help us to become stronger through all of these weaknesses. We're called to evangelize, which means to go out to those around us. And again, Pope Francis had this wonderful expression. He was speaking in Brazil Brazil, yes, the World Youth Day, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to the bishops about the church. And he said that our church has to be a church that goes out. He said, if you stay in a stuffy room, you get sick through stale air. So he says, the church needs to get out of itself and go to people to proclaim the good news. And he said, I would rather have a church that goes out and gets in trouble than a church that stays in and gets sick, which is a very unusual thing for the Pope to say. Okay? In other words, we have to have that courage and initiative to go out and to be the witnesses and to proclaim the good news and share our joy. purpose of the appeal is to help us do that. So when the support that's given to the appeal by the people in our diocese is so generous, now I know Barry said there's only 20% who give, that's all right. You know, that's the sense of reality of our church. But those 20% allow us as a diocesan church to do what Jesus asks us to do, to bear fruit for God. And maybe the other 80% through our witness will learn that when we support this work of the diocese, when we get involved and support the church, it brings us joy. And it brings us a sense of achievement and accomplishment and of sharing in the work of Jesus Christ in our world. And when we share in Jesus' work, it blesses our lives. So we need to help all of those people understand the joy of helping our diocesan church to be strong and to bear fruit for God. I thank you for helping us to do that. Now, do you want us to say grace with them?
You want me to say thank you?
Do you want to say thank you?